TV, how are you?
I just moved into the panel members, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, Brian.
Hi, Kitty.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I think it's 1 o'clock. I think I suggest we start. Right. So good afternoon to all the attendees. Welcome to today's South African Institute of Physics webinar. I am Rudolf Erasmus from the Wits University in Johannesburg, and it's my pleasure to host this webinar on behalf of the Institute of Physics. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be made available on our Facebook page shortly after the conclusion of the webinar. There will also be a link to the PDF version of the slides that are being presented today. So this range of SAIP webinars commenced in September last year, running on Friday afternoons, and the main reason for that is to create a forum with which to communicate to the wider physics community on a range of topics. And so today's presentation is on the African Strategy for Fundamental and Applied Physics, which is a fairly new initiative that started in November 2020. And our presenter today is Professor Farida Fassi from Mohammed V University in Rabat, Morocco, that will be talking on this strategy. So Professor Fassi's background is that of a particle physicist, but she has a very wide range of interests in getting physicists to collaborate and to talk to one another, and basically inspiring people with her passion for progress, specifically focused on physics and the impact of physics on the African continent. So thank you very much for making the time available to present this webinar, and I will then ask Professor Fassi to proceed with her presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, can you hear me well?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation. It is a great pleasure and honor for me to talk about the African Strategy for Fundamental and Applied Physics in the South African Institute of Physics webinar series. So let me start by reminding you which are the biggest African challenges in the 21st century. Actually, the most serious issues that hinder the development of science and technology in Africa could be summarized as follows: human capital flights, inadequate infrastructure, insufficient level of literacy, the lack of women participating in science, and the weak relationship between industry, science, technology, institution. However, the underperformance of Africa is essentially due to the return in investment in science and technology is not appreciated by policymakers and even African industry. So how can we cope with this situation? We believe that scientific community must come together to show how imperative it is to develop science in Africa to effectively face those major challenges. In addition, within a globalizing economy, knowledge-based competition is promoting a key role of higher education in development and growth. So across Africa, the need is great for scientific answers to the continent challenges. How can physics contribute in that? Well, physics is an intrinsic part of the culture of all of mankind. Human beings have been curious about the world that they live in, they be young. It is precisely this curiosity that has led humans to harness energy, understand our environment, and develop the technical applications that are the hallmark of the modern era. So the importance of physics for the economic development is well recognized. Just to highlight, today technology, economy, and their impact on society are closely linked with the basic physics research. Just to mention electricity, transfer, laser, magnetic resonance, optical fiber computing, internet, and so forth. So in terms of the connectivity with other scientific discipline, we can mention the biological medical sciences that have enormously benefited from physics invented technology. For instance, electron microscope, mass spectroscopy, radioactive tracer, X-rays, and so forth. All of those have boosted enormously all the discovery in almost every biomedical laboratory. So there is no doubt that physics has laid the foundation for enormous transforming technology over the last 200 years. And more, society will depend on the physics to solve the problem. Africa cannot afford to continue to be marginalized in this domain. It is clear that a proper environment and culture must be established in Africa for pursuing science seriously. I must emphasize that there is no endemic reason why Africa should fare poorly. So Africa citizens must invest more serious effort to help and create a condition for which physics and science can prosper. Well, the hope is great for science in Africa. We can set Timber Labs for accelerator-based sciences, which is a multidisciplinary research facility. Also, we can find many African countries in high energy index significantly participating, Egypt in CMS, South Africa, Morocco in Atlas. For astronomy field, we have several observatory and telescope instruments, just to mention Academia in Marrakesh, SAIP in South Africa, and more in infrastructure, in scientific infrastructure. The Africa Light Source, which is the future global and Africa relevant research and innovation. Also, in which regards in the sustainable energy, we found the world's biggest salad plants in Morocco, many other projects other projects managed by MANEST in Morocco too. Also, we can find the X-rays techniques platform in Benin, which is devoted for the community, and the large radio telescopes in South Africa, and many more in many places in Africa. But there are not enough scientific in Africa. Africa is home of 15% of the world population based on UNESCO reports, but it is really produced just 2% of the world research outcome. This is because only 1% of the global investment in research and development is spent in Africa, which leads that Africa has only 198 researchers per million people. So just to achieve the world average for the number of research per capita, Africa needs another million new PhDs. However, the situation is getting worse. This is due to the lack of opportunity that sees Africa lost roughly 2,000 professionals to high-income countries every year. If you can see in the plot on the right, that show that Africa is the world's youngest population based on the World Economic Forum in 2020, which is represent more than 40%. So how can we reverse the curves? So there is a strong need for African renaissance, which consists in encouraging, strengthening higher education, capacity building, scientific research, and of course, which is the most important, support the return of the African diaspora, which will give new opportunity for youngest excellent scientists. In addition, based on the prediction from the World Economic Forum that show that 2 in every 5 children will born in Africa by 2050, as you can see in the plot on the left, in the red curve. So where are we headed? To do nothing is to go backward. So what needs to be done to give science and technology the due weight in the development process? Let me now show you what is the worldwide physics strategy landscape. Starting from the left, we can find the North American strategy, which is known as SNOWMAS 2021. It is followed of the SNOWMAS in 2013. It is organized by the Division of Particle and Field of the American Physical Society. The goal of this strategy is to identify and document a scientific vision for the future of particle physics in US. And then in the Latin America zone, we find for the first time a strategy which aim to strengthen the Latin American scientific collaboration and their impact on the society. This strategy is mandated by Ibero-American Ministerial Science and Technology. And then, of course, we find the European Strategy for Particle Physics, which is mandated by the Chancellor. It was released on June 2020, followed by two previews, one in 206 and 2030. It is the pillar of European decision-making process for the long-term future of the field. And it is formed by the particle physics community. So European, American, Japanese, Australian, and New Zealand strategy, all of those are developed in close collaboration with the aim to ensure the coordination between regions and optimal use of resources globally. So in this landscape, we miss Africa. Africa must have its own physics strategy and catches up worldwide strategies. This is, in fact, our motivation that pushes us to start up this project. So ASFAP becomes essential for Africa. And we believe that Africa should take its equal place as a co-leader in global scientific process, along with all consequent socio-economical benefits. So you can see here the founder of the project from Pan-African and African diaspora. We found KTV, Simon from South Africa, yes, Simon with South Africa, Shaban from Egypt, Fayrouz, Egyptian, but from France, and myself. So you can reach us in this mailing list. And the proposal and the proposal and the finding documents can be seen in this web, in this direction, in this link, sorry. And you can visit us at the website and the Twitter as well. So what is the vision of ASFAP? So in fact, the vision consists in developing a strategy to foster the growth of research in physical science, especially in support of excellence, and conduct research at the highest international standards. Also, we hope to develop a higher level scientific program engaging African scientists, all of this to promote science as a fundamental force for African society progress. And of course, to provide an international forum of scientific contact for scientists from all countries in the strategy development to enhance collaboration. And then to notify African policymakers, international partners, sponsors on the foreseeable strategy direction likely to impact the African development. Well, the process of ASFAP will last few years to end up releasing the final reports. These reports will suggest the direction with actionable items for the next decade. It will be repeated periodically, let's say every 7 to 10 years for the following decades, with, of course, a review of the impact from previous strategy. So the project was launched during the online workshop organized jointly by the African Physical Society and the African Light Source in November 2020. It was also presented at the General Assembly of the African Academy of Science in December. And also we have a presentation at the plenary meeting in the European Committee for Future Accelerator. So our aspiration by this project to set up the foundation and framework to draw the participation of the African physicists in defining education and physics priority most impactful for Africa. So here you have a ASFAP organization structure at a glance. So you can see the committees, the working group, the forums. I will give more detail in every element, in everybody in this structure. So let's start by the steering committee. Well, the steering committee actually is in charge of the whole, in charge of the project management, ensuring the overall coordination and gathering between the committees, working groups, and forums. And this committee will prepare the final report. Concerning the International Advisory Committee, this body will review the progress, provide advice and guidelines, and we hope that will help us to engage the international committees and policymakers. And also, the committee will endorse the final report. Observers Committee, this is an intermediate body which aim to advise and convey ideas between steering committee and the other working groups. And also this committee will review the letter of interest, the white paper, help in a data report, help working group to in report editing. Ethics Committee. Well, this committee is crucial for the strategy. It is responsible for dissemination and maintaining the guidelines for ASFAP Code of Conduct that has been already released. A subset of this committee may serve as a numbers person. And then we find the groups, subgroups, liaisons. So we hope these groups, they will encourage and solicit community input, prepare the reports, and for concerning the liaison, we hope that they will ensure, in fact, the cross-cutting topics to to ensure that we receive proper coverage and consideration in all the relevance group. So we have already developed the ASFAP working groups guidelines to help all the groups to get started. Then we found the committee engagement. Well, this group is in charge, in fact, for knowledge transfer, entrepreneurship, communication and outreach, and also in addition to stakeholder and funding, government agency, policy makers, related business. And then we found also the physics education. With this group, we hope, we aim to promote science-led development on a sustainable basis, contributed to the scientific literacy of high schools and university, and of course, revitalize higher education. Then Women in Physics Forum. So these forums actually will mitigate the lack of the African women participating in physics and inspire girls to consider scientific careers for them. And then also we have considered the Young Physicists Forum. This is to encourage the engagement of young people in physics, science, technology, and engineering. Well, just a few words on our International Advisory Committee. So far, we have 24 members. You have on the left all the list of them, and you can see them in more detail in the link below. The committee is formed of international institutes and leading individuals in the field in Africa and beyond. Well, here just some word on the logistic. We have developed the website. On the left-hand bottom, you can see the first page, how it looks like. You can reach it by the link on top. We have prepared the Wiki pages for working group, and the mailing list for exchange for the discussion, and on the right you can see the Wiki and how it looks like. Also in the Wiki for all the groups, all the conveners, the name of the conveners are very well listed there, and all related information can be seen in Wiki, and it is well linked to our web page too. Well, what about the endorsement and support? Well, the initiative has been endorsed by the African Physical Society, the South African Minister Department of Science and Innovation, the network of African Sciences Academies, the International Union of Pure and Applied Physics, and the Islamic World Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. In addition, the project is supported by the CERN Director General and the main international institutes, as you can see in our webpage. In addition, the leading individual in Africa and beyond. We believe it is essential to reach the African Union and get its endorsement, and also for the African Academy of Science, because we strongly believe that we share the same project. ASFAP aims to demonstrate the potential to develop physics for the benefit of the African society, to have African countries participate with others in a global village of technology, which is, of course, in the interest of every nation in Africa. Well, here I will bring you to how is the timeline. We are in this part, so we are continuing with calling denomination conveners for the group, forums, and subgroups, and then we will start the selection of the convener and the regular meeting. By July, September, we will call for the letter of interest that will help us as a start for preparing the white paper study groups. And then by the end of this year, we will start the community meeting preparation. At that time, the white paper will be in progress, which will help to address all the outline of the strategy report. And then in the first semester of the next year, so the group will contribute to the report, which will help to come up with a preliminary draft draft that will be given to our advisory committee for consultation, and then we by the June, we hope that the white paper, all the white paper will be finalized by that time to help in have a moderate shape of our reports. And by July, September 2022, so we hope to celebrate the ASFAP symposium, in which we call and we want to receive the community feedback. And then by the end of the next year, the final report will be endorsed by our advisory committee, which the report, of course, will be submitted to the African Academy of Science and other stakeholders in Africa and distributed largely. Of course, I mean, this timeline will be subject to be revised as we progress, and the deadline for the letters of interest and white papers will be set accordingly. Okay, how can you get involved? Well, there are many ways that you can participate in this great project. For instance, nominate subgroup convener and liaison, volunteer for conveners, submit letter of interest and white papers, participate in white paper study groups, participate in the group meeting, offer your constructive opinion and expertise, and of course, encourage your research group to get involved. And also encourage institutional credit for those working in strategy, especially the people in leadership role as convener and liaison support. Your work in this strategy will receive proper recognition at your institute and internationally, and come up as it should result in a paper that and serve the interest, of course, of the African strategy. Some words just to tell you what we mean by letter of interest. So they are informal documents intended to be useful in the first stage of the ASFAP study. They will help ASFAP convener to prepare the ASFAP community planning meeting. And they will be taken, as I said before, in October, December 2021. These, the letter of interest could include opinions, interests, and proposals that could further be studied. In terms of white papers and final report, so we mean by white papers articles presenting your results and relevant physics topics, physics prioritizing, including those related to the community involvement, white papers funded, reviewed, and references in the strategy report. Of course, the white paper will be of publishable quality and may be published in a peer-reviewed journal. Concerning the final report, we aim to explore several ways to adapt the overall ASFAP strategy and outlines a vision of a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth, a sustainable development, skill development, and science research as pillars to achieve the goal. Well, I arrived to say the Africa we want to live in. Our great aspiration include an integrated continent, politically united, and has a global influence. Africa as a strong based on the vision of Africa Renaissance, we need to invest more in science and set up world-class centers that will over time transfer the scientific sense. Creating scientifically educated people is the best investment that a country can make. I would like to finish this talk reminding what Abdus Salam said: scientists' thought is the common heritage of mankind. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that interesting presentation. There is opportunity to ask questions. If attendees move their mouse, they will see at the bottom of the screen a small menu come up with the opportunities to post either question and answers. You can also post a question in the chat, or you can raise your hand and we can give you access to your microphone to post a question. So if there are any questions, I know from experience it takes a minute or two for questions to come through, since people have to type them and think about them. So we'll give a little bit of time for that to take place. Maybe I can ask a question that I was wondering about. You mentioned that you still need the further engagement with the African Union. Do you already have the necessary contacts for that, or is it a case of still having to establish the right channels for that communication to happen?
Well, we are working on that, but of course, if we need to establish more channel, that will be that will be great. As I said, I mean, the involvement of African Union, this is our main goal, I mean, to have this strategy a reality and to apply it. So the engagement from them should be critical for the success of the strategy. Application of the scientific community is critical also for the success of the strategy. I mean, without the involvement of the people, the strategy cannot succeed. We have take the initiative to start it, but we have to work all together. We come, as I said before, we must come together to success this strategy, and of course the involvement from the community, the scientific community, the involvement from the policy makers and the African Union as a head of boosting of this will be really very interesting. So I guess this seminar will, I hope that will be give the opportunity to the people that are presented now and the other that will check the video later to learn about the strategy. And there is an effort going on, and we need their help. I mean, there are many things to do. I mean, as I said before, there is no endemic reason why Africa should fare poorly.
There is a question on the chat.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I think the question is, first question on the chat is, what would the next step to raise synergies between the worldwide strategies?
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, as I said before, taken into account the landscape, all the strategy worldwide. So there is a great need that Africa should have its own strategy and then catch up with the other strategies. I mean, all the continents have already established the way that they could collaborate and enhance science and involve people and their citizens in it. And Africa, this is we guess that this is for us it's necessary to start these projects and then to collaborate. I mean, this is a global effort because we live in a in a small village. We take into account the globalization that in which we are living. So Africa should take the leader role. I mean, it's our destination and then contribute to the other. So this is, so we cannot say, I mean, as I said, to do nothing is go backwards. So especially if we see what is that Africa is the youngest population in the world and the growing in Africa, and there is a enormous human resource in Africa. So we have to organize we have to organize differently and take, as I said, I said in the last in the slides. We need to invest more in science and set up world class. As I said before, really the challenges is great, taking into account what is going on. That's with what I have started this talk. I mean, we have a really very serious issues, but we cannot stop telling that those are our issues. Okay, we know our issues. What we have to do to change this? So we have to change our mind and to take science as a great opportunity and to try to involve the people, the policymakers that can change this and adapt other policy and think differently. And okay, so I guess we are in this situation that we cannot do nothing. No.
I think following up on that, there's a comment from Eagle saying that the particle physics community is very good at this kind of engagement. Is the rest of the community, especially in applied physics, taking up this opportunity in the same spirit?
Yeah, exactly. This is what I will show you the list of the groups. Okay, this is very good question because I have not included really. This is how you can see here. This is the list of all the physics groups that we have considered in the African strategy. So you see here accelerator, astronomy, I mean biological physics, this is the fundamental physics. All the groups are represented here. So we are not focusing in high energy physics. So particle physics is only one group in all the group that we have the strategy. So to success this strategy, actually, we have to consider all the fundamental physics, research physics that we have in the continent. And I guess we hope those groups, the list of the groups, it presented everyone. And if anyone I mean, don't find himself or herself presented, we can consider, because we are not talking about the strategy of particle physics. We're talking about the African strategy for fundamental and applied physics. So we are doing fundamental physics for the benefit of the society, and we have to reach all the physics group that can link are be represented in the development of the fundamental physics. So here you can see the list. Actually, we are identify the convener that we have sent several calls to call for the convener to cover all the groups that we have in the strategy. So in addition, as you said, there are also how to for the physics education, not only the physics working group, but we want to promote physics education, high education, and the participation of women in science, and the engage of the young physicists in this strategy. Actually, it is a global strategy that we want everyone to be we invite everyone to participate and to in the success of this strategy, and we are open to discuss with everyone, and we are open to engage the people. Are invited to, because as I said before, I insist in this point, this is African strategy. We are all of us are concerned by the success of this strategy because it's concerned Africa. So if we want to see a different Africa, this is the Africa that we want to live. So okay, so I guess every African should be feel concerned.
Thank you. I think there's a follow-up question that fits in with that. The question is, how is the coordination of the strategy going to be put into effect? Will there be nodal offices in selected countries?
Okay, selected countries. This is an invitation for all the countries, for all the African countries, of course. All the African countries can contribute. This is a call to all African countries to contribute to this. We have several, as I said before, the steering committee is managing the whole project and coordination everything. We have the working groups, the different working groups that will encourage the community input, and we have all the mechanism that ensure everybody should feel concerned by this strategy. So every African countries is invited to really participate in the success of this strategy, and this is our hope. And this is, as I said before, it is really it is mandatory at that level of time.
I think there's a comment in the chat that ties in with that, saying that the attendee thanks you for the great talk and makes the comment that it's good for our Africa to think of more collaboration instead of competition. So that's a comment from one of the attendees.
More collaboration than, sorry?
Instead of competition.
But we are not competing with anybody. The strategy, it's a kind of call to enhance our internal collaboration. This is a way how we could collaborate. The African country can establish a network in which can enhance and improve the collaboration between us as a continent. And then, of course, we need to collaborate worldwide. This is how the science age progress. We cannot keep isolated from the rest of the continent. So the aim is to enhance our inter-African countries collaboration, and then of course the collaboration with the international is mandatory. So how we are not isolated in the globe. So we form part from the globe. So if we are forming part from the globe, and the globe is progressing, and now we are stopping at the same point, so how we can afford this? It is not acceptable at that time that we can accept this. So we have to change, to adapt other strategy, to adapt other view, to enhance and to rely on the create our own strategy. As I said before, look here. So you have everywhere in the globe. You have the American, the North American, the Latin American, the European, the Australian, the Japanese. Everybody are moving. Everybody are progressing. And if you look at in the Africa, so you see there is a need. There is a need to start up our strategy and then catch up the worldwide strategy and collaborate. The aim is to start our collaboration and to link to the worldwide strategies.
Excellent, thank you. Katevi, you raised your hand if you would like to ask a question or make a comment.
No, sorry, that was probably a mistake.
Oh, okay. No problem.
My colleague answered very well.
Good. There is another question asking about, in terms of physics promotion and education outreach, are you making use of the current structures in place, like the Interactive Science Center networks, SASTEC in the south and NAMES in the north?
In terms of physics education, you said?
Yes, there are current, the Interactive Science Center networks that exist.
Okay.
Plan making use of these Interactive Science Center networks?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the convener that will take in charge of dealing, of managing the education, physics education. Of course, people that has an expertise, will link it or with any initiative that boosts physics education. We have started to look. We have started to invite the convener. We have really investigated how this person can help. I help to boost this, and in particular for physics education, we have really spent some time to look who could be more convenient for these groups to promote science-led development, as I said, sustainable business, and also for high schools and university. So to answer you, any initiative in the science, that will be more than welcome. And we are not competing with anyone. So what we are doing is really to gather the effort, to put everything together and to push the continent. This is our aim. So everyone is invited. We welcome everyone, and this is the African. It's not the strategy of anyone. It's the African strategy, and without, I must insist in this without the participation of the African citizens in this project, so it cannot success, honestly. So this is really the main point here. We know that there are wonderful, excellent physicists, excellent scientists, but we have to organize ourselves differently. We have to link to policymakers and people that decide to think of the policy and to get this strategy and to apply this strategy. This is what we are looking for, and we know that it is a challenging task, but we have to do it, and we need to do it.
Thank you. There was a hand raised by Ulrich Gurlach. If you would like to go ahead with your question or comment.
Yeah, Ulrich here. Yeah, I just want to make a comment, or it's also a question in a way. I mean, and a strategy always means certain directions you want to boost something. And I mean, one difference between this strategy and one of the other two of the other examples, like SNOMAS or the European strategies, there was in a specific field of physics. When here we try to get together all different types of physics fields in Africa. And what I always ask myself, in the end, we have to find a common denominator, the common feature, which on one hand really gives the direction forward and has the impetus, and on the other hand really has everybody in the boat. And I always ask myself, what will be this common denominator will be? Is it will it education? Is it technology, research and technologies, or what is really the feature which can really unify all these fields in a common thing, so that when you, in the end, when you want to sell the strategy to the different statesmen and you want to get money for projects, you have to have projects which really put together everybody, where everybody can somehow participate. And I think that's a bit the challenge of this project. Although I fully agree with you that really it's important to have this thing on fundamental physics on this, including applications, and you have to get these African effort, but on the other hand, to sell it really, to sell it well, and to get international recognition, and particularly recognition within Africa. We need somehow this common flag under which we can unify everybody. And that
Absolutely.
I'm not quite sure what that exactly will that be.
Absolutely, what you have said exactly. I mean, yes, the task is challenging, but I mean, well, just come back to what you, if we dimension the I mean, if I come back to the strategies, as you said, the North American, the European, all the strategy around the high energy physics or the particle physics, because I guess, in my opinion, because in those continents, the biggest research infrastructures is already there. So the strategy have to be around this to take the full advance from these biggest research infrastructure. Okay, in Africa, we don't have the biggest research infrastructure. There are research infrastructure, but we are in the way to develop more and more and more. So I guess this is one thing why we have think about not to focus on one field, but instead of considering the fundamental and applied physics. I mean, considering all the field in fundamental physics, and reaching every small groups in Africa, small or biggest group in Africa, to engage and to boost those group in the aim to improve higher education, look for quality research and excellent research, to enhance all the dynamic, to create a dynamic in these small groups that are distributed, or bigger groups that are in Africa and gather with each other. And then, I mean, this in my opinion, would be a good strategy if we manage, of course, I mean, starting to organize all these groups, all the topics around the fundamental physics in around this project, and the close collaboration with the international community is mandatory. This is no doubt about that. And the implication of the policymaker in this project is needed. So we cannot succeed without them. Because I mean, we said that there is a big lack, that we are a big deficit that we have here in Africa, and we have to do something, and we have to improve the physics education. It is the pillar. We have to improve the physics education. We have to improve the high education. We have to improve the way that we do research. We have to establish a culture of research and science. So for me, I guess this is my big motivation to participate in this project, and to really try to help to move the country in another direction. So this is my feeling, is we have to change the direction. The direction in which we are going is not the right one, because we, as I said, there are huge issues. We have huge issues. Africa is the youngest continent in the world. Nobody can deny this. This is the reality. We have a lot of resources, so we have to think differently. That's all.
Thank you. There's a question that says there's been a call for African Union members to allocate at least 1% of gross domestic product to science and technology. Do you think the strategy can help decision makers and funders to understand the impact of science, and then in our case, physics?
Yeah, I come back to this. I mean, yes, actually, I mean, this is the decision to allocate 1% of the global investment was decided in 20 2070. And since not all the African country can manage this, this is another business, another subject. But with this flat participation, this is the number what we have. So we need to increase these. We need to increase these participants. It's not enough. So with these implication, what percent? We have only 188 researchers, and we need, just to achieve the world average of the number of researchers per capita, we need, Africa needs another 1 million new PhDs. But this is our needs in how to improve our research participation or outcome comparing with the worldwide. But in other hand, we are facing, this is other reality that we have. The other reality, I mean, what I have put here is, this is this is the constraint that we have. And this reality, but we cannot stop face to this reality. We have to move and see what the solution could be done. And exactly as I said here, I mean, where are we headed? Where are we headed with this? So I guess I guess we have to. Yes, we have to I mean, the task is challenges. Yeah, we know it. We know all the reality. So we have to change it. We have to try to improve, because I guess this is the only way that's how we can have a chance to catch up all what the worldwide and have and be a co-leader among all the continent. That's all. I don't know. There is no, as I said here, there is no endemic reason why Africa should fare poorly. Why? So it depends on us. I mean, it depends on other things, but we believe in ourselves. We have to be confident. This is our continent, and if this is our decision to how to change this.
Thank you. I think there's one more comment made that Eagle said that from experience in South Africa, in doing national thematic approaches, it's shown that it's important to have flexibility, and one must acknowledge that we need big physics, but we also need a great deal of small physics.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. This is the reason what we have really include the main of the physics working group in this strategy. We need absolutely the small physics. Absolutely. As I said before, we don't have the biggest research infrastructure like located at CERN or Fermilab or US or Australia. We don't have this. This is other reality. So we have to do with what we have. We have to compose with what we have to enhance the smallest group, to boost what, if there is any chance to boost everyone. Yes, sure.
I think that's very close to 2 o'clock. I think we've come to the end of our time. So I first of all want to say thank you very much to Professor Fassi for her time and her enthusiasm. It is very clear that this matter is close to your heart. We really appreciate the energy that you are putting into this matter. Then I would also like to thank all the attendees and for your enthusiastic participation. I didn't get to all the comments and that were made, but those have been recorded as part of this presentation, and the information that some of you has passed on, I will make sure that that gets sent through to Professor Fassi. So thank you very much for your attendance today, and we hope you will enjoy us and you will join us again for our future webinars that run on Friday afternoons.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you for attending.
Great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.